In a war of nations unprecedented in its sheer scale and volume of manpower, when one actually takes the time to zoom in, there are simply thousands of small untold stories that make you say, that really happened? Well, it did really happen, and this time we don't really need to zoom out in this story, because it's about how a whole landmass and its inhabitants won Britain's second highest honour, the George Cross. The George's Cross is stated to be an award for acts of great heroism or of the most conspicuous courage in circumstances of extreme danger. So, how could it be that by 1942 it was destined for an entire country? Well, first things first, and it should be noted that Malta is a small island that was located in an extremely valuable spot during World War II, with it being between Sicily and the North African coast. It was absolutely imperative that the Allies held onto the island in order to sustain their North African campaign and eventual Italian campaign. As a result of its strategic importance, Hitler himself ordered Malta to be neutralized in preparation for a German invasion. This job fell to the Luftwaffe, who in 1942 would launch the heaviest sustained bombing attack ever recorded in World War II against Malta, dropping 6,700 tons of bombs on the small island country throughout a period of 154 days and nights. From January to July of 1942, there was only one 24-hour period where no bombs fell in the island. As stated before, this was the worst sustained bombing attack of World War II, and the population, as a consequence, suffered heavily. Due to food shortages that arose from constant bombing, the inhabitants of Malta were on the brink of starvation. In addition to this, health standards heavily declined, something that stemmed from the fact that everybody was forced into underground shelters for more time than they were outside. To make things worse, medical supplies were critically low, and many of the diseases that arose from being in damp underground conditions for so long could not be treated. In spite of this, and multiple other factors that made life unbearable for the populace of Malta, the men, women and children persevered, and at the height of the bombing campaign on April 15, 1942, King George VI awarded the people of Malta the George Cross in recognition of the seemingly never-ending struggle against the Axis air forces. Eventually, of course, the brutal bombings did come to an end, and the island, with the population 270,000 at the time, never even looked like cracking. Over 10,000 buildings were damaged and destroyed, thousands were injured or dead, and it took several decades to rebuild the economy. But with all that said, the proud island nation could hold its head high in 2019 as the only country in history to receive a medal for gallantry. So guys, what are your thoughts? Do you know anybody from Malta? Are you Maltese yourself? Here in Australia, we have plenty, and they're a pretty interesting group of people to say the least. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with friends and family, and if you really want to help out, join our Patreon community, where you'll get access to behind the scenes plans and see all our inner workings. Anyways guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new.